Welcome to another session of Conversations with Cleo. This is going to be one that you're going to really love. I have a fellow author, not just an author, but a proud father. My nephew, Mr. Jeffrey Bobby, aka Bobby Walker. Nephew, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Uncle. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Listen, today is exciting because I want to celebrate, but also introduce you to the Conversation with Cleo podcast viewers in the community. Bobby, first though, tell people a little bit about yourself because we're going to talk about you being an author as well. So please go right ahead.
Well, first, I appreciate the opportunity, Uncle. I am a proud son of Jeffrey and Janice Walker, originally from Wisconsin. Went to school there, grew up there. Family moved to the South, and when I graduated, I moved out here to California. So I live here in San Diego now with my almost 10-year-old daughter, Laila, my pride and joy. Father first, right? So that's why I say that first before any kind of career goals, ambitions. What I do, day job is I work in software. So I'm a director of software engineering, and we build stuff. I've always wanted to build things and be creative in that type of way. So now I get to do that and also help people build their careers, which is a lot of fun. But that's who I am.
That's fantastic. By the way, full disclosure, my nephew's dad, Jeff Walker, I call him J-Dub or Papa J. We played college basketball together, and he is not just a good friend, but the brother could play. So anybody in Milwaukee back in the day, they know exactly who we're talking about. But let's get into this. Let's get into something that is passionate for me and something that I think is important is being an author. I want to just share a couple of facts. Annually, there's approximately 1 million books that are published, specifically children's books. And if you talk about independent books, that might be 3 to 4 million. 13% of children's books are published by African American Black authors. You are one of the few. And I want to ask you something. What was it that gave you the passion, the inspiration to write?
Well, I realized that every day we were building a story, my daughter and I. And I didn't want her to 10 years from now, 20 years from now, look back and forget those fun, warm moments that we had together, exciting moments that we had together, day-to-day things that we did. That's what started me off on the journey of uh, writing our books, figuring out how to publish, all of that stuff. Is what I just wanted to capture those moments that we won't get back, right? And I wanted her to be able to look back and see all the fun and the love that her and her daddy shared.
I think that's fantastic. There's always an origin, or more or less the behind the scenes of what motivates and inspires someone to write. And I am a writer myself. I have a children's book in collaboration with my son, Michael Joseph Franklin. What do you see when you look at me? And then we have another book that'll be out in about a month or so. And that book is what do you see when what do I see when I look at you? But I think it's important that you've talked about in leaving a legacy, but also having an effect, an impact with storytelling. But you're doing this now. When we talk about leaving a legacy, you're living a legacy. I mean, these books are going to be forever in perpetuity. They'll be around long when we're gone. So I think that's fantastic. Tell me, when you look at your daughter and you express these stories, what is the reaction that she receives and how does she feel about it?
When I first published the first book, she was so excited. It's a book about her martial arts when she first started, and a little shout out to her. In a few weeks, she's going to be a purple sash in kung fu, right? Which is amazing. But we started off very first level white belt, and when when we first wrote that first book, I remember her getting so excited, wanting to share it with her kung fu teacher. We took the book to her class. I could see that she felt pride, right? She then wanted me to come to her school and read the book to her class. I think at that time maybe she was in first grade, and oh, look at this book that my daddy wrote, and this is me. She had her gold medal that she earned in one of the tournaments. So she felt a sense of pride, excitement. She knew that this was her story, right? That we were capturing her story, we were capturing our story together, and she wanted to show that off, and she was proud of it. All right, so I think that's really what happened in the first book, and then after that, she wanted us to include more things, more people, right? So eventually, we started to include some of the other folks in our family and other books. And it was just her opportunity to share what we did and the love that we have for each other with the rest of the world, whoever it is that ends up reading our story. I think she was excited about being able to share that.
I think that's fantastic, and a couple of in my books I write about my family. I've written about my granddaughters. I've also, of course, the collaboration with my son in the children's books. I think it's important to tell your story, but if you can represent your story as we see it in a true manner that represents what you're experiencing, what your family is experiencing, and what they represent, I think really is golden. Which my next question for you is this. I talked about 13% of children's books are produced by Black creators. Some people may say that's underrepresentation, but this is what I say. It is representation. And based on your representation in the presence of your books, did you ever think that you would become an author? And did you see yourself in this position as you and I are both talking, both Black authors, one day, and also in the children's literature genre?
Honestly, no, I didn't. I never thought about it. I never thought that I would be in a position where I could write my story and have it out there, forever. And I think that's one of the reasons now, looking back on it, why I wanted to do it, right? Because, like you said, 13%, it is representation, but it's an opportunity for us to have more representation. And so I looked at it as an opportunity, one that I could take and show that I look like, some people see me and they can see themselves in me. And if I can do it, definitely you can too, right? There's just some steps that you might need to learn how to take to get your story and your book published. But absolutely, you can do it. I think that's what I would say is that yes, it's not that large a percentage right now, but there's an opportunity for us to grow it.
That's fantastic. I got to talk to you about you are what did Kobe Bryant call himself?
A girl dad. That's
Absolutely.
or
Absolutely a girl dad. And, there's something that is unique about the father-daughter dynamic. I have two daughters and two granddaughters, and I love them to pieces. You created three books now starring your daughter, Layla. And 20 years from now, what do you think when she's an adult? Well, of course, it'll be 10 years from now, when she's a full adult.
yeah, don't
Uh,
remind me.
yes, right.
It's
It
close.
happens quickly. What do you think the books would have taught her about herself? And also, what do they teach? What do you think they'll teach her children about not just her dad, but her grandfather and grandmother, and about the world you want to build for them?
That's a great question. So I think what it'll teach her and her kids, she can see that she persevered
Hmm.
through obstacles. So it's going to teach her that she was able to persevere and stick to things that even though there might have been some obstacles in her way, she got through them and then she reached her goals. I think that she will look back on these books and learn that how strong she really is. Right there, Layla is only 9, but one that is a resilience 9, and
Right.
so that's something also that comes out in these stories. I think another thing that she can learn, and her kids will learn one day, is all of the love that she has had throughout her life and will continue to have throughout her life. What I think what these books will teach her about her grandparents and some of the other members of our family in these books is that a close knit family is one that's really important. And if you have family members who you can lean on in good times, share your successes in the good times. If you have family members that you can lean on during difficult times, then that makes all the difference. And I think that's something that also comes throughout these books is the spirit of family and how we can lean on one another. Right. So those are some of the things that. But Layla, she is a curious kid,
Oh, that's good.
and she is a someone who is able to learn new things. She's courageous. The tomorrow, actually, she's singing the national anthem at a basketball game.
Oh,
Uh,
fantastic.
so I'm so proud of her, and so I think that's another maybe one of the last things that I'll say is that. Uh, she will be able to recognize and always remember how courageous she is, and if there's something new, try it out. Don't let fear stop you from trying something out. You may love it. So
Right.
I think something it would be a lasting takeaway for her.
It's I think it's powerful. You talked about her having being courageous, and I think about my granddaughters and my daughters and Layla. Sounds like exactly, and I know your mom's the same way. You talk
Oh
about,
yes.
yeah. I mean, we be having strong women that are, I call it fierce,
Mhm.
right? Undeterred, definitely filled with gumption and focus and intentionality. Uh, those genetics have been passed down, and the way you describe her, I can't wait to when she's 19 to see what she does. She's going to be fantastic.
Well, she's already a star. Whatever it is that she decides that she wants to do one day, she knows I'm her biggest cheerleader.
I'm going to shift the question for you. I've written 10 books, 7 leadership books and motivation, of course, 2 poetry books, and also this children's book that I'll show later. And I'd love to see copies if you have them of your books as well, because we'll talk more about the other books. Writing can be something of a journey, and it also can be an activity or a hobby or a place to decompress. What does writing do for you? And what is the biggest challenge you have in writing? And for me, I'll just tell you up front, it is editing, 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 and edit again. It is a continuous process. It's a process that you try to achieve perfection, but perfection is a state you can never achieve, but is the most critical phase for any author. What is your challenge that you find with writing?
I think it was something similar, and it's funny. I was just talking about this yesterday to my brothers and my dad. I mentioned that perfection is something that we strive for, but progress is really what we want to focus on. So, to answer your first question, Uncle Cleo, I think what writing does for me is it gives me an outlet, right? Especially when I write uh, children's books, right? It gives me a chance to relax a little bit and focus on stories that help to uplift and help to uh, put people in a positive state of mind. It also, it puts me in one to what I get from it. The hardest part about it, I think, is similar to you in that yes, editing is tough because I want to put everything in it, and I
Right?
realize I only have a limited amount of pages that that I can put in this book. So I got to wait until the next one. So that's a difficult one. Another one would be patience, right?
Yes.
So making sure that I'm patient with the process. I want it to be done tomorrow, and I think that's kind of more of like work mode. And so I put a lot of energy and effort into anything that I create, including the books. And so I try to refine it, make sure that it's as good as I can make it, and then I'm ready to have it on the shelves in Barnes and Noble the next day. But I know I need to always practice patience because it will happen when it's time to happen. They'll roll out and be in the hands of folks when it's supposed to happen. So I think that's probably one of the hardest things that I've had to learn.
My goodness, nephew, I will tell you that the old adage that patience is a virtue is
Mm.
true. However, I am an impatient man, and I practice patience, but I am not patient. I'm not patient naturally, and I understand exactly when you talk about being patient, and
It's a
also
it's a learned skill, right?
it is, and you talk about perfection. I tell people all the time that I understand perfection may not be achievable, but in its absence, I'm always willing to accept excellence.
Absolutely.
Yes. Question. Your writing is amazing. You make, I call the mundane magical. You've written a book about your daughter getting a vaccination. And most kids and adults would dread that. But I think that takes some serious storytelling skills to take that type of experience and turn it into a moment. Tell me, how did you create that and transition? What was your secret to that?
Well, I had to take some pain. I had to turn pain into something positive. And I'm not talking about the pain of getting a needle stuck into your arm. I'm talking about the struggle to get at the time, probably 6-year-old kid to sit still in order to get her vaccination.
Hmm.
I think that at some point, right, in that whole journey, I said, okay, well, we'll be able to get through this one, but I want to make sure that she remembers that she did it so that we can do it again the next time and then
Right.
do it next time. And then, oh, well, maybe I'm not the only parent out here struggling to get their kid to sit still, when they need to get their vaccinations. So let me write this and hopefully it'll help somebody else, another parent dealing with the same thing. I think it's something that I'm trying to get better at every day is being able to identify or recognize like you said, the normal, mundane, just normal things that happen in life, and seeing what type of lessons can come from that, or recognizing the gifts in us over time, overcoming certain things. And I think that's why I wrote the book about getting the vaccination. It was really just we were frustrated. We tried 1,000 times. We finally got it. I was excited. I had to tell somebody.
Listen, nephew, I think that's absolutely awesome. The again, it takes some powerful storytelling skills, and it's a fantastic story. I got a few more questions for you. One of the things that I would like to ask you, and I'm going to self-reflect. I'm 6'3", former athlete, former businessman, entrepreneur. Do a lot of things. I teach. I'm a professor at a university of Houston downtown. And when people ask me what books do I write, leadership, motivation, they see and they feel that that aligns with me and my persona. But when I talk about poetry and then children's books, I do get a look. It doesn't affect me, but I think some people are predisposed or have a predisposition of a confident adult man, black man like yourself, of course. How do you handle that, and do you get that reaction sometimes as well as a look of surprise?
I do. I get that reaction when, say, I've worked with someone for years. They know my demeanor. and they know my approach at work when we're trying to meet a deadline, trying to get something out to production to customers, and so they know me in that way. But then they also know, so then when I tell them about the children's stories that I've written, I think at first it's a initial surprise. But then if they have paid attention to me over the last 10 years, whenever I get a chance to talk about my kid, I'm going to talk about her. So
Right. Right.
surprised, but then not really. I'm a multifaceted guy, right? There's many parts to me. And so that's just what they see at work, the serious guy who's trying to get things done. That's only one part of me. I'm also one to have a lot of fun, plan out a lot of activities, things like that. So there are people who know me like that, and then there are other folks who know the storytelling part of me. So depending, I guess, on who I talk to, they might have different reactions. But if they paid attention to me, they would know what's most important, and I wrote about what's most important.
Absolutely. There's something wrong with having skills, as they would say,
Oh,
and depth and breadth
really?
of talent that represents itself in diverse ways. I do not believe in fencing talent, fencing creativity, or putting a border around innovation. And you are a great representation of that and epitomizes that. Few more
Thank you.
questions and we'll get you out of here. Your illustrations, I love them. And I want to hear more about your illustrator because when it comes to storytelling, we consume content differently. There's audio consumption, there's, of course, the visual consumption, and then sometimes we have to feel it. But when you can bring imagery and align them with words in your story, because people remember images and it affects them emotionally.
Right.
It takes it to another level. Who's this illustrator? And again, what are some of the comments you're getting when people read your books?
So Bo Books is the illustrator, and I've worked with them for years now, and they've made the process easy in that we have an open line of communication,
Hmm.
right? What ended up in the book took many revisions, many iterations
Yes.
to the point where it's like, oh well, okay, this looks like Layla, or this looks like Mama J and Papa J, right?
Right.
So I'd say that though the illustrations that are in the book help make the story that much more impactful. If I had a book without images, then I don't think that it would hit the same way, especially a book like this.
Yes.
And I'm forever appreciative to our group of illustrators for helping bring the vision to life. And it's always fun to see ourselves as cartoons. That's always a fun thing. And so
Yeah.
what some of the comments that I get is like, oh, well, this looks great. This looks like how this is how you look. Oh, well, or
Yeah.
this type of face that you're making in this scene or in this page. I know that's exactly how you would have reacted. I think they were brilliant and showed a lot of mastery in the way that they captured those images from the pictures that I sent them and all the conversations that I've sent them. Uh, to be honest, illustration, in my experience, was the longest part of the process,
You
right?
know,
Because
mhm.
that's something that people will see. The story, I have a lot of stories, right? So I was confident in the story, but can't put the story out unless the pictures look the right way.
Nephew, I'm just going to hold up a copy of the book, What Do You See When You Look at Me? It took me 2.5 years to find the right or proper illustrator because what you just touched on, I think is important, is character versus caricature. As you talk about making sure that the representation and imagery is authentic, that it's real and it's relatable, and it represents exactly who you are and jumps off the page. And when people see you, of course, they know absolutely there's no there's no, of course, there's no gap between as your character and your caricature is of Layla and yourself. I think that's, and it takes that time, as you just talked about, right? You want to make sure you get that right.
It does. I'm glad you mentioned that. So we're writing real stories. It goes back to what you mentioned about representation. I want this book to show my daughter and represent her accurately as we can. And I think we achieved that.
All right, here's a big question. You ready? You know, and I think it's whether it's Black parents, but or any parent, you know, with a story that they have to tell. My question would be this: what is your intention? What is your goal in telling your story? And once it's read, what impact, what effect are you aiming for, or have you heard people share with you that just makes you smile?
My ultimate goal was to write, it's like a love letter to my daughter. And also it's for empowering parents. Now,
Yes.
I can say it's for fathers, right? Because I'm a father. I can say it's for Black fathers, but I wrote it to empower all parents, to let them know that every day, as challenging as some days are, there's beauty in those days, and we want to make the most of it as much as possible because before you know it, like you said, my she'll be an adult in
Yes.
8 years. Well, I remember 10 years ago, and it seems so far away. That adulthood seems so far away, and it's getting closer and closer every day. I wanted to write these so that I could capture those moments that, if I hadn't written them, could have faded away in memory, and make sure that I uplifted those days that could have been lost, and letting folks know that those are important. Every day is important. Every interaction that you have with your kid is important. Every vaccine that you drag them to is important. Every practice
Yes.
is important. All right. If your kid is playing basketball uh, or like you did, like my dad did, or football like I did, or uh, taking kids to practice, making sure that they know that you're there, letting them know that you're there and you're present, and it's not that you're out only going to work and providing,
Hmm.
but you are at home with them. You're sitting down, helping them with homework. You're sitting down, listening to, what went on
Right.
during their day, right? So that's why I wrote those, and wrote those stories, because I want to make sure that the message is it gets out there. I also will say that as a girl dad, I've seen that I think the sometimes people feel as though dads might have a little bit more difficult time relating to their daughters, showing them kind of a softer side, and but I don't think that that's true, at least not in my experience. And of course, you mentioned your granddaughter, and I think that we show up,
That's right.
and something I wanted to make sure that story, that message got out there, that we show up every day.
You know what? I believe in the fact, and when I think of my parents were never perfect, but they were present. And there's power in being present.
Absolutely.
Jeffrey, AKA Bobby Walker, author, proud dad, business person. I appreciate you being on the podcast. Where can people find your books? And if you have copies, feel free to show
I wish I had them with me right now, but folks can find the books on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com. We have 3 books available right now, and more to come. Working on ones all the time.
them. That's
The
right.
first is Layla's Adventures in Kung Fu. We have Layla's Brave Vaccine Adventure, and then we also have Layla's Fun Family Adventures. One is coming probably that highlights our dog as well, Tigo. You can find all of those books on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com.
Fantastic. Folks, get Bobby's book, read it. This is a real man writing real stories. And I'll end it this way. Performers will craft stories to impress, but connectors and creators, they illuminate. And your book is one that illuminates. And it does it in a way that I have to say, bravo, 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 nephew. Fantastic. Thank you so much. God bless. All the best. Get his book, folks, on Amazon. Take care.
Thank you.